Everybody ready to go? Show of hands, who is here from either Greenland, Canada, or Panama? Just want to see. One person. It'll be much easier to get in next year, I understand, because you'll all be citizens. I don't know, just crazy shit I'm hearing. Welcome to our panel. It's good to see everybody. I know there's no place you'd rather be on Sunday morning than here, but couldn't be happier than to having you here with us. My name's Ken Pilot. I'm a former retailer. Work with a number of brands in C-level positions. Today, I invest in retail technology. I also have a podcast called The Retail Pilot. I don't have the branding that Pete Nordstrom had earlier. If you were up there, I actually do, but I'm not showing it. But if you are having trouble going to sleep tonight, tune in. I can take you out in probably 6 minutes. I also work with retailers and do some advisory work. I'll turn it over to the rest of the panel for a quick round of intros. Ashley?
Thank you, Ken. I'm Ashley Kechter. I'm the brand president for Fabletics. Happy to be here. For those of you that don't know Fabletics, we are an activewear brand, a fashion activewear brand, and we offer a membership model. And so I've been with the brand for the last 2 years, and I'm happy to speak with Ken and Dan and Kim.
Kim Miller, I'm the president of Saks Off Fifth. I've been at Saks Off Fifth for a little over a year. I come from a long line of e-commerce and full line retail, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, my name's Dan Finley. I'm the Group Chief Executive of Boohoo Group. We have 5 brands, which are Pretty Little Thing, Boohoo, Debenhams, Karen Millen, and Boohoo Man. We're based in the UK, but do lots of business over here in the US as well. I'm looking forward to this panel this morning.
Quick question. How many of you here know the term social proof or have heard it before? It looks like maybe a little less than half. Before working with Taggstar, I hadn't heard the term social proof, but I'd seen it. You know when you're on that travel website and they say 34 people are looking for this room and there's 1 left? You've been social proofed. And what Taggstar does is they really work with the power of the crowd to create energy or a call to action to purchase. Think about FOMO and what it's like to miss out on an item because it's selling quickly. That's really the core of social proof. And each of these brands are working with Taggstar. We're going to discuss a little bit about their journey, how they're using it, and how it can be used in the future to really capture the customer's attention at that moment that you have them online. So, Ashley, I'm going to start with you, and curious to know, how are you using social proof? How is it important to Fabletics?
Yeah, so I think from a Fabletics lens, we are a brand that started using social proof from the very beginning. And so our founders are highly interested in new digital technologies and marketing. And so we've, from the launch, brought those two things together through a very robust influencer program, aligning with celebrities to help launch, leveraging their likeness, their awareness, and helping them give us trust. And we've expanded on that over the years as we've brought in more digital technology to leverage this concept. And so we started working with Taggstar back in October of 2023. And for us, what was great about it was it leaned into what we were already doing, which was standing in the digital space in a pretty large way, where we were going after this, what you described, Ken, FOMO messaging, trying to get the customer to click. And so when we tested with them, we went with 12 different experiences across our PDPs, our PLPs, our cart, and we were able to put in that very direct response messaging where we're hitting them over the head with selling fast, buy it now before it sells out, a lot of in-stock messaging. And so that's how we started leveraging this social proof through our digital platform, additionally above and beyond with the influencer space. And so we saw huge success. We tested, we got a 3% lift in our conversion, and then we were quick to want to roll that out much more aggressively, knowing that's a metric that's very hard to move in terms of driving improvement.
Dan, same question for you. How are you leveraging social proof?
Yeah, we've been an early adopter of social proof. We first implemented Taggstar 8 years ago, immediately prior to joining the Boohoo Group. I was at JD Sports. You'll know it as JD Sports in the US, Finish Line, Shoe Palace, DTLR. We were a really early adopter of it because our consumer, our core consumer, was at the forefront of that social media generation. They spend their lives on their mobile phone using social media. And what was always super important to them is, what did other people think? Is what I was buying cool? Is it socially acceptable? Am I going to fit in if I buy this and I wear this? So we first implemented it in 2016. Really quick, easy, fantastic and quick return on investment. But for us, it was a real validation to our consumers that the product they were looking at and the product they were considering buying, they should buy, because many of us, similar people like themselves, were buying it too.
You know, it's funny. I noticed the tagging. If I go back here for a second, I'll try that on Fabletics. They have hot items. That's their social proof headline. And then in this very proper way, in demand. It's very British. It's very sophisticated. I mean, it's so cool.
It is British. Debenhams is the oldest retailer anywhere in the world. It's 247 years old. It was founded 8 years before America had its first president. It is very British. It's a retail icon in Britain, but I won't take credit for the wording of in demand.
But I think that's one of the beauties of the platform, is being able to put it in the brand vernacular, what the catchphrase is, and then coordinating it with Google Analytics numbers to really show how it's trending, performing, or how in demand it really is. Kim, what say you about social proof?
Well, we are relatively new. We rolled it out right before holiday, which we'll talk a little bit about, I think, in a few minutes. But for us, Saks Off Fifth operates more like a fast fashion retailer than a full line specialty or department store. So FOMO is alive and well when you're treasure hunting through our website. And I think what we have found is, reiterating the fact that if there's 5 of something left and 34 people viewing it at any given time, you better pull the trigger and convert. So that has worked very well for us. It is something that, we've seen immediate positive results from. I would say the other piece that keeps us up at night, and maybe some of you can answer this question. We have more than 60% of our traffic coming directly to product detail pages. Anyone else experiencing over 50% product detail page first-time traffic? Yeah. So we believe that is a trend that will continue. And, the product detail page, based on just the pressure on efficiency of marketing, things like that, is 60% of the time, in our case, the first page a customer sees. And so when your product detail page is your new homepage, how are you intentional about what that customer sees as their first touch point with you? And for us, Taggstar serves a very important function in that it validates, first of all, that there are other people on the site. Second, that, there are people looking at that product, so it was definitely relevant. And the third is it really helps us drive conversion in a way that, some of the other initiatives we've tried does not. So
I think it's a really important point, with the advent of AI and how search is really changing from an organic search to SEO or SEM. The PDP will become the homepage. If you look at what Perplexity is doing today, where you can actually query, hey, I'm looking for a very cool summer wedding dress. It's going to take you to a PDP. So the customer is really only going to have seconds potentially on your site to make a decision. They may miss the banner ads, the homepage, the landing page, all the other work that the creative team has done will almost be behind the customer once they arrive on your site, on that PDP. So when you get on and you see that bag and it's popular and 34 others have viewed it, that might just be that one moment that you have to connect, because then that customer might just move on to something else. So I think that's going to be a more important trend. We're going to see a lot more of it, but it's customers connecting quickly through the power of AI to multiple products, multiple PDP pages with one shot to potentially purchase. So doing whatever you can to make impact on that page is critically important. And that's where a platform like this really, really comes in. It's curious, Ashley, you guys have a lot of home-built technology, starting with your site. And there were a lot of things that you had to do because it's a membership model. why wouldn't you just build this? You guys are techie. You can do stuff. What precluded you from building a platform that can do this versus just adopting one that's already done?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think what you're speaking to, Ken, so we obviously have a member model for our business. We built our site. We built the entire integration in terms of how we offer our membership model. We have homegrown technology in our stores, which is a very unique store experience. And so there is a lot we do in-house because everything is integrated. But I think what I really appreciate about our founders and our chief operating officer, she's not here this morning, but she's going to be presenting later this day in another area. But the tech team is relentless about wanting to only be internal and wanting to explore those solutions that will give us a competitive advantage that are outside of our walls. And so I think what we always go through is we look and we talk to a lot of people about what solutions are out there, and then we will assess if we think that it's best in class and we should go for an external option or if we should do this internally. And so when we met with Taggstar, we felt very confident that they were doing what we wanted to get on our site, and we were able to easily integrate them into our proprietary system. And so it's something that we didn't necessarily need to build on our own with our own time and money, and we felt very confident that this was the right approach for us.
One of the challenges when I talk to retailers or brands about social proof, or frankly, any platform out there, is, do they want to spend the money? It's too expensive. I don't want to do it because. And I think, Kim, we had a conversation about the cost of implementation versus the cost of utilization. Right. Maybe you can elaborate on that a bit more.
Yeah, I had forgotten so we had actually built a version of this, which it was so great, I forgot about it. And, it required, 5 or 6 engineers at any given time to make change, to move it around. And so the team basically gave it up, and this was probably well over a year ago. And so what we appreciated about this was it solved the problem that we had, which was, it doesn't require engineering. It did not slow down the website, which was one of the first things that we always consider. And your business team can manage it. So I think the overall cost of ownership for Taggstar for us, at least over the past few months, has proven itself to be well worth it. And we anticipate that going forward.
And from what I've heard from each, and for me, this is most important, but implementation is quick. I mean, we all hear this. I'm sure many of the retailers hear the phrase, "Oh, it's one line of JavaScript, you're up and running." And then by the time you're 3 months into it, you're still not up and running. But actually, I think each of you found, even on a homegrown system, that implementation was fairly efficient and quick, and you're able to really jump into and get the platform live.
Yeah, we're on Commerce Cloud, and it took us 2 weeks, which is, unheard of. So
that's amazing. Dan, you're the veteran in the space. Where are you taking social proof? What are some other opportunities that you're going to be using to really take this concept further with your customer?
I think it's really important that you extend social proof across all of your consumer touch points and beyond thinking about it just on the website. So that by the time you got them to the website, you've done a lot of the job. But actually, we extended it into our emails. So you had dynamic social proofing in the emails that the consumer was receiving. We dynamically retarget consumers with the social proofing as well. So for me, it's about that social validation being omnipresent and inserting it throughout the consumer journey as much as you can to continuously reinforce that this is a product that is in demand, that you're going to love, that everybody else loves, and that you need to buy it now. So for me, it's about thinking about social proofing beyond just a website and all the other customer touch points that you have as well.
Anything next for you? I know you're relatively new to social proof, but what are you going to do outside of the site, or where do you see opportunities to expand with a customer?
So at Saks Off Fifth, we have about 100 stores across the U.S. and Canada. So, the good news is in the new world, we'll be okay because we're in Canada too. We have, the ability, I think, to bring social proof online into stores. And I think the ability to, we're doing it a little bit today. We've been testing it, which is, starting to merchandise in store around what's trending online. I do think the social proof cross-channel is something that we'll be exploring in 2025, and we look forward to seeing the results.
It's interesting. There's, I don't know if they're presenting this year, but there is a vendor called Glass Media, and they have digital signage that's battery operated. So I could see moving those signs in the store to take that social proof energy and put it into the store where 70% of the business is happening anyway. But what a great way to really leverage some of this platform into the store where customers are shopping. That could be a great. I was going to ask about how are we bringing it to stores, and I was thinking it's so static, but it can be real. It can be live there as well.
Yeah, I mean, today we do, we have some stores that are testing out, when you go into a bookstore and it's staff picks. We have that going on in our stores right now where we're enabling the stores to basically let their sales associates do their own selections of what's come in that's new. And we're seeing great results of that. So we believe that something like a social proof online can translate into stores, and the signage could be very fun.
Yeah.
What's next for you with social proof?
Yeah, so I think there's two things. We've been doing a lot with video. So we recently rolled out our own capability to do a little bit of that live shopping-esque type testimonials on our site. And so I think for me, it's how do we incorporate this type of technology with that, as we've got our UGC and our influencers doing these videos on our behalf. We're getting a significant amount of views, millions and millions of views on this capability. And so we want to integrate that social proof marketing with that. We have 100 doors as well, and we're rolling out significant stores over the next year. So our target is 20 plus stores a year, and we're starting to expand internationally. So I love hearing things about the retail space because that's a huge priority for us. And with that, because we've got our retail technology that we've built where you're in the fitting room, you've got an iPad, the customer can interact directly. We can very easily pick things like this up so we can put some of that direct response messaging in there while they're in the fitting room looking for additional things, most likely.
There's also another way that brands are reaching out through user-generated content, whether it's influencers, micro-influencers. Does that resonate with any of you in terms of how you're looking to use social proof through social commerce, whether it's TikTok or it's Reels or Instagram? Dan, any examples out there that are impactful?
Yeah, look, our consumer is at the forefront of that social generation. They are consuming social media. The latest stats tell us that it's 16 and a half hours a day. They are consuming content through their mobile phone. So for me, it's whether it's through TikTok and TikTok live shopping, whether it's through influencers and collabs on Instagram, whether it's bringing fashion creator-led collections to market. Social underpins everything that our consumer does today. And that continuous social reinforcement and validation of what we do in every channel is super important to what we do. And Taggstar and the social proofing just reinforces that when they come into our own media. And obviously we spent a lot of time, effort and money using the social media influencers, trying to drive them into that ecosystem.
Is video important in the UK right now? We're not consuming as much of it on sites. We're doing some consumption of video shopping, whether it's live stream, not nearly as important as it is in Asia. But is that in your repertoire?
Yeah, it's massive in the UK. The starting point of the shopping journey today is often TikTok, YouTube, Reels. It starts on that social media property. Increasingly, 3/4 of that is video consumed rather than static image consumed for us. And that's a starting point of their interaction with us. So incredibly important for us to get that right, to drive them onto site, to then convert them.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about the social commerce, it's great, it's growing, but you're not getting that first party data. So the importance of doing video on your site, which depending on your demographic, could be very impactful. And once you're even on live stream, as you're seeing product being bought, the impact, the pressure, the missing out, the FOMO is happening real time. I don't know if either of you are you doing live stream? You are doing live stream.
Well, we're doing, I would say it's not entirely live streaming, but essentially what happens is if you go to the Fabletics PDP, we have a section directly under the add to cart section where we've got multiple videos. They're UGC videos. So we reach out to our influencers, we give them content direction, but they're organic videos where they're telling us, so it might be us versus them, and they're reviewing our leggings versus Lululemon, and they're telling you why you should buy Fabletics. But it's very organic because we're just seeding them, and then they're providing these videos. There's product information videos there's other ones that we're just giving like true, like she's just styling it with other items in her closet, but we're leveraging that and within the PDP experience. And we're seeing huge conversion increases by having that there so they can look at it, see it, validate it, amongst all of the work we're doing with Taggstar and then our own work on the reviews.
What does social media mean to Saks Off Fifth?
So we are in the process. So I think one of the tricky things, and if you're a fast fashion retailer, you know this, is because your turns are so fast and you don't have a lot of depth, you have to be really careful with your investment in video because people expect to be able to buy what's in the video. And if you don't have it, all you're doing is disappointing the customer. So we're kind of repositioning what we're doing with video to be more brand focused and be more around awareness and consideration versus direct to transaction. We may get back to direct to transaction, but it's probably not going to be for a little while.
I did notice when I was shopping Fabletics, you use a countdown clock in certain places to apply additional pressure of, it's like when you're on Ticketmaster and you have like 5 minutes to make that decision. All of that just builds pressure. Are you finding any modules within Taggstar to be most effective, whether it's verbiage or what phrase works best for your brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think anything that speaks to like down to the last few, selling fast, I think those ones, the inventory availability ones are extremely helpful because people see firsthand it may run out if they don't get it now. And then I think things like the hot items are trending now, that emphasizes someone else likes it, so it's a reason to purchase it. But those are the two we've seen a lot of success with.
And Dan, people ask me often, is social proof real? Like, come on, there's more than one room left. There's got to be more there. Did they really sell 100 units? Where is the information coming from? And is it real?
It's real, it's authentic, it's true. Certainly in the UK, the regulators have a very, very keen eye on this, have looked at it closely, and it's absolutely critical for our reputation as a brand and the trust that we have with our consumer, that our consumer knows that the information that we are showing through our social proofing is real, it's in real time, and they do need to act now.
I think that's really important. And you'll see on this, it says in 7 days, right? So we specifically put that on there because if you let it accumulate, you could have thousands of views, but that's not fair, right? So we use a 7-day window to report out and to pull the data together. I think anything longer than that for us doesn't make sense, but it does give an authenticity to it because it's not for the history of this product, it's 7-day window.
So with this platform, you're seeing a few tags here, but there are probably close to 20 different types of tags that you can use. And as I mentioned earlier, it's always going to be in brand vernacular. So it's the wording that's appropriate to your brand, not the wording that is appropriate to Taggstar. And I think that's important because you want it to feel authentic. You want it to feel as though the brand is speaking to the customer. The other thing that I found very interesting about the platform is the platform through AI is continually learning what the best tags are. So you're getting recommendations from the platform on what is converting versus what's not converting. Do you have a team of people that are using this, or is this you that are using? How is it being utilized and monitored in your organization?
Yeah, so We have a data analytics team and a site merchandising team, and they are probably the two groups that are working most closely together. And then with our brand marketing team, what you're speaking to around, it's imperative. It feels like our brand voice. It's got the right look and feel. That's really where our marketing team leans in to help ensure that we are working with the Taggstar team on making it feel right to Fabletics. But that we really let the data analytics and the algorithms that are already in there kind of drive what it's doing, because that's why we don't want to have someone having to manually come up with these things. And so we lean heavily on the analysis that's in there to tell us which ones are working the best.
Dan, does this work better on specific demographics? Are younger people more susceptible to this stuff than older people?
I would have thought yes, but my experience is actually no. So my first experience of social proofing was with 16 to 24-year-olds when I was in the sneaker business, and it resonated really well. We'd use emojis, we'd use flames, we'd use language that really resonated with them. Then when I first went to Debenhams, a department store, the average consumer was maybe 50 to 55 years of age. So there's a bit of a question, actually, are they going to respond in the same way as a younger consumer did? So, of course, we split tested it. We saw it had an immediate and major impact on conversion. So for us and our older demographic in our department store business, it worked incredibly well. We implemented it in 24 hours. It paid back in 10 days. And it's a really important part of what we do.
Do either of you notice demographic differences who it's responding better with from a shopper point of view? Do you see I don't think, does it work as well on guys as it does on women?
Yeah, what's interesting is we're seeing it successfully work across all. And I think my assumption would have been similar to what you were saying, is that maybe it grabs that younger consumer more so. But I think shopping behavior is similar across the board, right? If you see something you like and you think it's going to sell out, you're probably going to purchase it if you've got that fear that it's going to be gone. So we are seeing it work pretty successfully across both men's, women's, and then within our customer range. We do skew a little younger from a consumer lens than obviously within the activewear space. So we've got a tighter range on our consumer, but.
Kim, what aha moments have you had so far?
I think for us, it's really that it is a universal, FOMO is universal. And, when you see one Brunello Cucinelli dress and there's only one in your size and there's, 34 other people looking at it, it doesn't matter your age, you'll probably pull the trigger on it. So for us, it's been pretty universal. We're still early, so I don't think we would have a demographic breakdown yet. But I think it'll be interesting. I think the other thing AI can probably help with is trying to figure out which messages to serve up to which customers at which time, and specifically around the different types of graphics. So we're looking forward to continuing to test it.
Well, it's, one thing I look for when I'm investing in and or working with a technology platform, first and foremost, do I like the team? Mm-hmm. And the sitting in the front row, I love the team. Number two, is it a platform that is relatively easy to explain and understand? And for all the reasons we've discussed, this one is. Number three, and I think this is most important, is around ease of integration. And as you've heard here, whether it's integrating with a homegrown system or with Demandware and Salesforce, it's easy. And what that means is I can get it up quickly, and I can fail fast or succeed fast. Because there's nothing worse than going through a 3, 4, 5 month implementation process only to fail. The other nice thing too is this platform kind of takes it out of the hands of the brand in that it's up and operating. So you don't have to have adoption across a whole area, a planning group or a merchandising organization. This is happening for you. So that's very important as well. So speed, ease of implementation, and then there's also what's the business model. And here again, as I mentioned, the business model may be a little bit more expensive, but you will get what you pay for. And there are other companies out there, whether it's a Monotate that can throw a bestseller, and that's their one trick to this. But it's really about dimension. It's about how well it's run, and it's also about the continual investments that platforms are making to improve on what they are doing. And I think Taggstar has done a super job I really want to thank all of you for spending Sunday morning with me, chatting. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to hanging out with you during the show. We also have one more thing as you leave. I was told I must say this. There's a flyer that you'll receive. If you go over to the booth, you could win a $500 gift certificate, which is great. And then finally, on a completely separate note, many of you, I know I've been impacted by what's happening in LA. I work with Delivering Good, which is an amazing organization that takes new clothing, accessories, and delivers it to areas that are suffering from tragedy, which clearly is happening in Los Angeles. So Delivering Good, look it up. You can help. Your companies can help deliver good. And I hope everybody here has a great NRF. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.